Hi, I'm Christoph and I am training for a 100 kilometer ultra marathon. In this vlog or video series I want to talk about my training, I want to talk about my running experience, nutrition, what is working in my training, what is not working, and then hopefully with feedback from you guys from the comments learn how to train or train better, and then of course I want to report back how my 100k race has been working out. So my running history or my experience is I started running in about 2007. I went onto a treadmill and after 20 minutes I was just dead. My legs were toast, I was sweating like a pig, and when I looked at the stats it was just really embarrassing. I hadn't gotten far, it was just bad. So I kept on running and improved over time and really made good progress. I stayed on the treadmill for quite a while and kind of came to a limit of 6-7 miles per day, 5-6 times a week. From there I finally made the jump off the treadmill, starting running outside, and that really made a significant difference. I really enjoyed running much more, and so back then I was living in Colorado, and even with cold weather, being out there running, being in the sun, it was fantastic. So it really motivated me and helped me a lot. So I shed some pounds, I got stronger, I felt healthier, and it has been a lot of fun. Then over the years I didn't really make much progress. I never ran a race. It was just really doing it for fitness and enjoying it, being away, and really clearing my mind every time I was out there. I don't know the exact reason, but I kind of fell into a slump. I had started a new job, I was still working out, but I wasn't really in such a good mood. Life was maybe not just the best at that time, and so I was gaining weight even though I was running. I did not feel healthy. It was just not that much fun. So with the new job I found out that I had very cheap access to the fitness chain 24/7, 24-hour fitness. So, and it was like $15 a month, and so I signed up and I got a couple hours with a personal trainer for free. And so I talked to the personal trainer and learned a lot, that like stuff that I had never really cared about played a significant role in your running, and I really can change it. So cross training, stuff that was like basics I know about today, but back then it's like, cross training? What is that for? So that trainer showed me a couple exercises to do, and my running improved. It became easier. I was able to run a little faster, I was able to go a little further, and somehow I caught the bug to go a little longer. So I ran during weekdays, again 6-7 miles, and then I started running early Saturday mornings, and so I went 7 miles. Next week I ran 9 miles, and then the following week I ran 11 miles, and it's like, oh, you know what, I'm not far away from a half marathon. So the following week I ran 13.1 miles. My first half marathon, just a training run on a Saturday. Didn't really care too much about the time, didn't have a GPS watch. It was really just using my smartphone to track my distance. So, and did that and really enjoyed it. And then later on that year, like I said, I was gaining weight, even though I was working out, I was running. And there was this new fitness studio in the area. It was called Kosama, and they offered very low priced personal training. So I signed up, and it was really pretty much like CrossFit, with a little twist here and there and a little more organized probably. It was a great workout. So I signed up, and it was great. I mean, it was really challenging. I was sore quite a bit, and I didn't see much muscle gain, but I felt that I had way more energy suddenly. And then there was this young couple. They were working out every morning with me at the same time, 5 o'clock. There were about 10-12 people that always showed up, and the gal was training for a marathon. And I thought, that's actually pretty cool. She's coming 5 times a week, and on top of that she's training for a marathon. I was going to Kusama 5 times a week, and I had stopped my running for that time. And I never thought about it, like, okay, running a marathon, and well, yeah, she's much younger, but she's doing double workouts every day, and so, you know what, I'll go running. So, and I went running, and it's like, yeah, you know what, I can go for another run a couple of times a week on top of me working out 5 times in the morning. So, and like I said, I had so much energy. A friend of mine asked me to go hiking, and we lived just south of Denver, and so we started climbing several 14ers in the Colorado Rockies, and again, I had so much energy. It was just, I mean, I came up there, and it was really great. I mean, I was not tired. I was fit, almost flying up the mountain, maybe not, but it was, I felt like I've never been so strong and so full of energy. So then one weekend my friend could not join me for a hike, and so I decided to go by myself, and so I picked Lawrence Peak, and not realizing what I let myself into. So it was a really long hike. I was 9 hours on my legs climbing up that mountain. It was very steep, it was very long, and I had a ton of fun, but in the end it's just like I barely felt it. I mean, yes, I was tired, I felt the exercise, but overall it was a great hike. Then I did another one alone. I went up Mount Albert, and that's the second highest mountain in the lower 48. And Mount Whitney in California is the highest mountain in the lower 48, Mount Albert the second one. And so I climbed up Mount Albert. It was again a very good hike. Excuse me. A very good hike. I came up there, and it was like, whew, this is nothing. So on the way back I started running. So I ran down the mountain, and I was down in no time, and I barely felt it. It was just full of energy, and so that summer it's like I was at a point, what do I do with all that energy? I know that sounds weird, but I decided I will sign up for a marathon. It was the middle of August 2013. The running season was almost over, so at least in Colorado, and I needed some time to train, so there wasn't really a race locally that was close enough for me to be able to run a marathon. I mean, I was probably naive, and I said I probably need 3 months for training. I have a solid base, still shouldn't be too hard. So I looked around, and I found the Las Vegas Marathon, and it was November 17, it was August 12, I think, when I signed up, and now I was on the hook. I was training for a marathon. So I started running, I did a little research, I bought a running belt that I had the ability to carry water, I got a GPS watch, and I was still using the same running shoes that I had, and off I went. I did I think 4 days a week where I went to Kusama. On 3 of those 4 days I added a 6-7 mile run. On the 5th day I added a run, and then on weekends I did a long run. So that was a lot of running, a lot of workouts, and over time I adjusted it, but I made good progress. I did not feel anything really bad. One thing I felt, it was like I was very tired, and it was a lot of muscle fatigue, and so I started doing research, and well, it came down to that at that time I was taking cholesterol medicine. So I had high cholesterol, and the doctor really just gave me a prescription, and well, this is your first lifelong prescription, here you go, everything will be fine. There was no mentioning of maybe changing your nutrition, or are you working out, what type of workouts, and there was nothing in regards to like living a healthier life. Not that I was living unhealthy, but I mean, my cholesterol kept going up and up and up over the years. I had cut out sodas, I did not eat much meat anymore, and it was just climbing. So doing more research, I found like, yeah, the cholesterol medicine is responsible for your legs not recovering properly. And I started cutting the medicine, and well, after probably a week, 10 days, it's like a significant difference. I mean, I was able to do the same type of workout volume, and my legs were not tired anymore. I wasn't fatigued as much. I mean, the usual fatigue you would see, but it made a big difference. I learned about taking gels and carbo loading and all that stuff, and felt like, oof, I'm on the right track here. This seems like what all the people do, and you read about it in forums, and the different races, they offer a pasta party and all that stuff the night before, so that you're nicely fed with carbs and so on. So my training went well. 2 weeks before the Las Vegas Marathon, I became sick. I started having a cold, and then a couple of days later I got an ear infection. Another couple of days later my left eardrum ruptured, and another day later I had problems keeping my balance. I was just like almost falling down. It was like being completely drunk, or I couldn't walk stable, I couldn't walk straight. I had completely left my feeling for balance. My ear infection was so bad, and that I had vertigo problems, and went to the ER on a Saturday morning. That was a week before the Las Vegas Marathon. So I got medication. The following Monday I finally had an appointment with an ear, nose, throat doctor, and he sucked all the liquids out of my ear, and I felt better immediately. And of course my first question was, can I run a race on Sunday night, a marathon? And he looked at me just like, I remember his face, it was hilarious. And he said, you're asking what? And I said, well, can I fly to Las Vegas and can I run the Las Vegas Marathon? So he said, well, let's go through the week and see how it goes. So we scheduled another appointment for 2 days later. I got a nice load of antibiotics. 2 days later he sucked out the fluids again. Overall it was getting better by the day. And on Thursday that week he said, well, you can run the marathon if you don't have pain. The ear infection by itself, I mean, yes, you will feel uncomfortable, but that is not prohibiting you from running a race. What I asked you is not to fly. If you want to go to Las Vegas, drive. Well, I'm a stubborn old guy, and so I ordered a rental car and I drove to Las Vegas. I hadn't run in 2 weeks, so when I arrived in Las Vegas on late Friday night, I went for a small, slow 2-mile run. My legs were really tired, it didn't feel good, my head was hurting, and it's like, you know what, we'll try again tomorrow morning. So Saturday morning came, I did another 2-mile run, and it felt okay. So I decided we'll see how Sunday goes. So Sunday morning I woke up, and overall I was feeling okay. I went for probably a fast walk or hike, about a mile, 1.5 miles, and then decided, okay, you know what, I go, worst case scenario, I will go and run the half marathon. I wasn't really thinking about dropping out at all. Sunday evening came around, Sunday afternoon, I was at the start and I started running, and overall it felt okay. My legs were probably not the freshest. Fortunately my training until then was good, and so I had like a radical taper, if you want to see it that way, and I ran. It was slower than I had trained for, so I was about a minute slower, and maybe that was a good thing. So, but I kept running, and I hit the cross point between 13.1 miles go left, 20.62 go right, and I went right. I ran my first marathon. I ran it in 4 hours and 29 minutes. And I was hurting for the next 3 days. I was very sore. So not having done any running really the 2 weeks before, I was very stiff and I was very sore. And I don't want to say I regretted it, but with a lot of Advil, I survived. And the running bug had really caught me. I signed up for a half marathon 2 weeks later, for 2 weeks later, and early December came around and it was freaking cold. It was 4 degrees Fahrenheit, and I ran a half marathon. So I was feeling better. I had the training, and it was a 2 hours and 2 minutes half marathon, and life was good. I signed up for another half marathon in early January. I ran that half marathon in 1 hour and 48 minutes and a few seconds. And life was good. And then I decided I still have a date with destiny because I wanted to run a marathon under 4 hours. So I trained for the Colfax Marathon in Denver, and I ran the Colfax Marathon in Denver in middle of May, and I ran it in 3 hours and 57 minutes. What I had done at the same time I know was a little more crazy, and so I not only ran the Colfax Marathon, 2 weeks later, the next week later, I ran the Vail Marathon, and Vail up in the mountains, 8,500 feet high elevation. Ran that marathon. It was significantly slower. I had never run 2 weeks in a row that many miles, but it was actually good. So I ran the marathon, and another week later I had signed up for the Steamboat Springs Marathon. So in a 2-week period I ran 3 marathons. And the funny thing was really, after Steamboat, I didn't feel anything. I mean, it was really just like, I just had another long run, nothing special. And so that was probably my first taste of practicing for an ultra marathon. So I stuck to marathons for a while. I ran a marathon in Germany, and I ran a marathon in Arkansas, simply for the reason that I wanted to visit Arkansas because I want to make it to all 50 states. And then I ran a marathon in North Dakota, but again, I want to make it to all 50 states, and those were a few of the states that I hadn't had. After I ran those, I decided, okay, let's try 50K and see how a 50K works. So the 50K, I trained for it, was in 2016 at the end of April, and it was a cold day when the 50K came around. It was about 25 degrees, it was blowing snow, there was a lot of snow on the ground, and it was freezing conditions. It was not fun. I started running, I was running in shorts, crazy as I am, probably living in Colorado for too long. And the race was slow, it was difficult. And so I came, it was a loop race, you had to do 4 loops. After the 3rd loop I came to the aid station, and I was notified that they're gonna close the race, and the guy that was at the aid station and me, we were the last 2 that were allowed back on the track. The other guy pulled the plug and he was done, and I decided, you know what, I've trained so hard for this, if they let me go out, I go out. I went out and I finished the 50K. It was a long race. It took almost 7 hours. I think it was 6 hours and 40 minutes or 7 hours and 40 minutes, something like this. Don't quote me on that one, I have to check. But it was cool. It was a great experience. Coming to the finish line and finishing a 50K was fantastic, especially under such hard conditions. And I thought to myself, if I can run a 50K under those conditions, I can probably do a 50 miler too, what the heck. So I signed up for a 50 miler later that summer, and I know I'm probably naive, and I trained for a 50 miler, and 3 weeks before the 50 miler I hurt myself with my hip flexor. It wasn't fun. I didn't run for 10 days, did some walking, and then I did some more running, and then I showed up for the 50 miler. Again, I had to run a little slower than expected, and well, I finished the race. I actually came in as the 10th finisher for the 50-mile race. Not in a great time, maybe it's a great time, I have no idea, but again, it was much slower than I had trained for. I came in roughly 10.5 hours, and it was a great race. So then my personal life was affected with my job being outsourced to India, having to start a new job. And so I hadn't really had time to train, and I kept with my normal running routine, running 6-7 miles a day, an occasional long run. And now it is December 2017. About 5 weeks ago I decided to sign up for a 100K race. and the 100K is at the end of February. That gives me about 3 months of additional training. Like I said, I signed up about 5 weeks ago. I had already increased my running before, so overall I'm looking at about 4.5, 5 months of training for this 100K. And now what I want to do with this vlog is record my progress, talk about nutrition, talk about training, and then of course talk about the 100K itself. So I know this is a long intro. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave comments down below. It will really help me. Ask questions. Please give feedback in any way, and I hope to see you around watching my videos. So not every video will be that long, so next time I hope it will be much quicker. So thanks, have a great day. Again, my name is Christoph. I live in Vista, California. If you're close, please let me know. Maybe we head out for a run together. And please subscribe and like this video. Thank you.